Listen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy Hollywood Hogan of the Hollywood Uncensored Podcast, episode number 11. This is obviously a newer way of doing things, but with the Rona taking over the world, I mean, this is the way we got to do it. It's been a minute since I've been able to do a podcast with my boy on this side right here, the famous, the one and only, I don't know why we're still calling you this, but it's Orange E. What is up, brother? Welcome back.
Yo, what's going on? It's been a long time.
It's literally been a year since we started our podcast. Yeah, when we did Shoot Your Shot, that's when Travis's album dropped. That was the last time we did an episode. Yeah.
That was a classic album, too.
Yeah, so yeah, that was the last time we did it. Then we used to have a podcast called Shoot Your Shot Podcast. That went nowhere like most of the podcasts I ever do. Me making it 11 episodes for Hollywood Uncensored is like a record for your boy, because I start podcasts and then I end them. But ever since I started doing Matt's and Marks, I started getting that podcast fever. On the real, though, why there hasn't been a Matt's and Marks podcast in a minute? It's because, you know, everything that's going on, hard to do all this thing. Like us doing this on Zoom, it took your boy a minute. He's witness of that. Me and him kept bouncing back and forth between Skype and Zoom, like all this internet shit that we got to do, all this technology thing. Your boy's a novice to it. I'm a rook. I need assistance. So me trying to figure it out on the go. We were on Skype for a minute. He couldn't get his camera going. We had to jump back over here. Couldn't figure things out. Jump back on Skype, et cetera, et cetera. It's the crazy, crazy world right now. How are you coping with the whole quarantine and chill hours?
I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. it sucks, you know. But you know, we all gotta do our part. You know, we all gotta stay inside, make sure we don't spread it anymore. So we gotta weather the storm.
I do think morons would understand that part, but you see assholes like over there in Santa Monica, over there at the farmer's market. Man, dude, like your organic peanuts and strawberries can wait. Believe me, they can wait. There's no way. You're going to risk your life and everybody else's life to get organic strawberries for Chelsea's breakfast the next day. What are you doing, man? The mayor said today that he's closing all farmer markets in LA, which is the correct decision to make. But yeah, just ridiculous, man. In Oakland, they had a car meet. But it's Oakland, so I mean, everybody.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's Oakland. I don't think they really care about stuff like that.
So what have you been doing, bro, to like kill the time? Because me, I've literally done, I feel like nothing. Like I've been home for 19 straight days, and I feel like I've been playing the same day, like Groundhog's Day almost.
Yeah, honestly, I'm on the same boat. I think probably the most productive thing I've been doing is I've been watching the Marvel films like in timeline order. So that's probably the most productive thing I've been doing. I've been like kind of analyzing them by myself, and then just filing for unemployment, which took a while, my boy.
Dude, like that's funny because you text me like every day about the Avengers and shit. You're going down the timeline of MCU and shit, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about MCU. I'm already in quarantine, dude. I'm getting cabin fever as each day goes by, and you're talking about the Hulk and Scarlet Witch and shit. You brought up an interesting point, though, on text message about how Age of Ultron isn't that good of a movie. And I've always said that since, like, the first time I watched Age of Ultron. I don't think Age of Ultron holds up as well. I didn't like it the first time I watched it. You had the cringy Hulk, Black Widow relationship going on. You had Magneto's kids without Magneto. That's always going to be, you know, especially now that they have X-Men. Like, you could have waited and had Magneto and had Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. But, I mean, there is rumors of Quicksilver potentially coming back, but that's a different story for a different day. But what do you think of Ultron?
Honestly, I think it's definitely the worst out of all the Avengers movies.
Easily.
Like, easily, hands down. And you brought up a good point. You said it's cringy. I think a lot of the movie is cringy. You know, like, the whole... I feel like every new, like, character they introduce has to be centered around, like, Tony Stark or being angry at Tony Stark, and I feel like that's kind of like a rundown narrative. It's not creative, and it's just like, it's after the first two maybe, but why does every single character have to be like related to having some sort of hatred towards Tony Stark? Like, it can't be any more original. I don't know.
And I'm gonna start this off by getting you triggered. That's why I don't like the Spider-Man movies, or the new Spider-Man movies.
What do you mean?
Every villain, the last two villains, have had a connection to Tony Stark. Like, they officially made Spider-Man into Robin and Tony Stark into Batman. And, like, everything connected to Peter Parker's life is connected to Tony Stark. And I love Iron Man. That's my boy, you know. That's probably number one in the MCU for me, at least. But, like, everything has to be connected to Tony. Like, every employee of his that got fired turns into a supervillain. Like, you know what I mean? I love Spider-Man so much that, like, I don't need Spider-Man to have all of that. You know what I mean? Like, let that dude find his own footing. He can make his own. Like, I swear, dude, if they ever do bring in Norm Osborn and the Green Goblin, I guarantee it's going to have some stupid connection to Tony Stark because they're pretty much the same character. Like, Goblin is technically the evil of Tony Stark, if you really think about it in essence. So that's going to be very annoying if they're like, oh, he's always had a rivalry with Tony Stark. Like, does everything have to be about Tony? You know what I mean? Like, he already sacrificed himself. Spoiler alert, but if you fucking spoiler alert, if you never watched Endgame at this point, I mean, come on. Like, he already did so much already. I don't need every character to be, like you just said, to be connected to Tony. So yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that one. But I knew we were going to start on some other topic, but now that we're on to MCU, give me your top 5 worst MCU movies, because I know this was like a topic on Twitter the last few days.
So top 5, in order, or does it matter?
Let's do an order because that's a little bit more challenging.
So I would say the worst one is going to be, honestly, I really, really think that Iron Man 2 sucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's number 1?
Number 1. I think that's
okay.
And then, yeah, so that's going to be the first one.
Okay.
Second one's going to be Iron Man 3.
Gee, you're just shitting on Iron Man?
Dude, the first Iron Man was good, let's be honest. The only good one was Iron Man 1.
How wild is that, though? That, like, the first Iron Man was a classic, and then they gave us, like, 2 other horseshit of Iron Man movies after that.
Yep. And then the third one, I think I'm in a minority here, but I'm going to say Captain Marvel. I just don't like... I think it's
the wrong tree.
Yeah, I think it's cringy, and I feel like they just forced the whole, like, woman superhero thing, like, down our throats, like, unnecessarily. Like, the whole... I mean, I guess she's a woman superhero, but do you have to, like, make her, like, such a bitch? You know, like... I don't know. She could have been cool, right? Like, but no, she has to walk like she has a fucking dick. No, she has a vagina. Act like a woman. Don't be, I don't know, just know your fucking role, you know, like LeVar Boss said, just know your role.
Disclaimer, these are all his thoughts and his thoughts only. Don't come after your boy or my channel, because this is his thoughts. And I like how we're 10 minutes in, and the things I established before we started recording, you're like, I'm gonna pretty much go after the feminists, which is the worst thing. The 3 worst things to go after, dude, are the feminists, K-pop Twitter, and NBA Twitter. You already checked one off the list like 10 minutes into this podcast. But no, I can understand why you didn't like Captain Marvel. But Matt, there's other, like, Hulk, bro. But let me finish your list. Let me finish your list. You're at 3, so go give me a list. And
then number 4 is gonna be Hulk.
Okay.
The reason why I didn't put it on the first or second is just because he's smashing shit. It's entertaining, at least. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3, they weren't even entertaining. Like, they were just like lame. At least with Hulk, you get to be like, oh, you go into the mindset, you know he's gonna be smashing shit. That's exactly what you get. You know what I mean? With Iron Man 2 and 3, you were expecting like something badass, and you didn't. You got cringe. Yeah. And then the 5th one, I'm gonna go with probably Thor 2, yeah. I'm gonna go with Thor 2.
Okay. I feel you on that one. My top 5 probably, and I can understand why you don't like the Iron Man movies. Number 1 for me would probably have to be Iron Man 2 also, because that movie, with all the anticipation after the first one, you go into Iron Man 2, like, hyped, obviously, you know, because the first one was so successful. It started the MCU, Jon Favreau, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have to, like, suck it off that much. But you go into there, and they give you a villain, like, 20 minutes in, they get rid of him, and then they put him in jail with the parrot. And then there's, like, an evil wannabe Lex Luthor who's like, I want to build machines. And then it's, like, Iron Man and War Machine versus a bunch of machines and Whiplash. And they got Mickey Rourke to play Whiplash, and they, like, barely used him in the movie. They got rid of him. The only cool thing about Iron Man 2 till this day is the fact that supposedly that little kid wearing the Iron Man mask was Peter Parker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the only connection from Iron Man 2 that they confirmed, where I'm like, okay, that's cool that was actually Peter Parker. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, the rest of the movie was dog shit though. Number 2, Hulk. I mean, there's nothing in that movie that's like, wow, this is amazing. And I like that actor. I like the actor that played the Hulk previously before Mark Ruffalo took over. Now, that's not a shot at Mark Ruffalo. Let's be honest. At the last few Avenger movies, Mark Ruffalo has turned into a comedy act. You know what I mean? Thor Ragnarok, Endgame, Infinity War. He's just been there for a couple of chuckles. And, you know, I hated Smart Hulk. Like, Hulk dabbing. What are we doing? Like that was just a terrible decision for me to see on the big screen. Number 3, Thor 2, one of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen. Just boring, dull, doesn't go anywhere, pointless. Number 4, Thor. I thought it was freaking terrible too. I thought the whole story arc of Thor was just boring, and it was directed by Patty Jenkins, who gave us Wonder Woman. So I don't know, but I hate the first Thor movies. Then they gave us Ragnarok, which was amazing. Ragnarok's like one of the best, even though I guess the nitpick of Ragnarok is you could say that it was like Guardians of the Galaxy in a way, but to each their own. I thought that worked for Thor. It's cool to see like Beach Thor more than, you know, God of Thunder Thor. And then number 5, man, I don't want to say Ultron. I kind of do, but I feel like I can't because there's just such a big cast for that movie. I don't want to say Captain Marvel because like I didn't hate it fully. I thought there was some cool stuff in there. Like a lot of like her action scenes I liked from Captain Marvel. Like those were cool. Yeah, did they push their agenda? Obviously, they're always going to push an agenda. I'm trying to think of number 5. I'm blanking. Oh, Iron Man 3. My bad. Yeah, Iron Man 3 is terrible. It's a Christmas movie if you think about it, but at the end of the day, like it wasn't anything to brag about. Like it was okay. You know, favorite MCU movie?
Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one.
That's number 1 for you.
Easily.
It used to be Guardians for me too, but I think right now it's probably Infinity War.
Infinity War? I can see. It's a climax, you know, you get everybody, so.
Infinity War or Endgame? Which one do you like more?
I like Endgame just because.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the fact like they were in Wakanda at the very end. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty badass. But I just really like Black Panther. I think he's sick.
You didn't think the time traveling stuff was kind of cringe though?
I mean, they're already like in space. You know what I mean? So it's like they're already in space. You have these weird aliens. What's time travel? Like I thought it kind of made sense in this weird theatrical kind of thing.
I got the time travel thing. My problem was like the fan service around them going back in time. Like they went back in time and they met like their old selves from the first Avengers movie. And then like they went further back in time and they had to have that moment with Tony Stark and his dad, which I'm like, why are we doing this? When like that bothered me in a way where I'm like, okay guys, we're supposed to go save our friends. Oh, hold on, let's stop the movie for 20 minutes so Tony can talk to his dad. You know what I mean?
I thought it was kind of cool. It's kind of like Shakespearean. You know what I mean? They're giving him like this nice little ending, so like you get to like feel even like sadder for him once he dies. You know what I mean? It kind of builds up that emotional kind of thing.
It's the closure. I can understand the closure of like Tony Stark. I get that, but like part of me was just like, okay, how do? And honestly, I kind of had a problem with them killing Thanos so soon.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm like, when they meet the newer Thanos towards the end, I'm like, that Thanos doesn't have that connection though. You know what I mean? Like, he's already there. Did he have the? I don't even remember. He didn't even have the Infinity Gauntlet on, like he did in Infinity War. So like, I had a problem with that as well. But yeah, so yours is Guardians, mine's Infinity War. You hate Captain Marvel. I hate Thor. We established that pretty much already as it. So look, I love how we make a plan for how to start the podcast, and then it never goes according to plan. This goes for even when I do the solo one, so it's all good, brother. So we were originally going to start the show with Khabib running to Russia like a chicken shit, but we're going to skip that because this dude at like 1 p.m. sends me a text message because he got a love letter like he's in junior high from a female pretty much. This girl's bored out of her mind, bro. The funniest shit, he sends me this long-ass, and it was written like a full-on English essay from like it had the font. It was spaced out perfectly. You could tell she took her time writing that. It took her like a week to finish. She had to go through books and shit. She quoted Kanye in this letter, dude. How does that not freak you out when you get something like that?
I'm not gonna lie, it definitely did freak me out. but I'm not surprised at the same time, you know?
I mean, where did you find this letter at?
So I go out. So I wake up like at midnight, right? I mean, not at midnight. Sorry, like around noon. And then I'm gonna go to my car because I gotta grab my AirPods. And on my windshield wiper, I see this white piece of paper, and I see my name written on it. And right in front of me is this whole essay telling me how bad I am to be in a relationship with, basically.
And was this a main thing or a side thing?
A
little bit of both, like potential of main, but you still had her like on the sidelines waiting.
Yeah, that's more what I would go for, just because she's crazy. You know, she's.
Bro, if you're gonna type something that long, I mean, I think that's already established, dog. Like, you showed me, and I know you didn't read it, but like, I'm nosy, so I was like, I want to see what the hell this girl wrote. And it's like, dude, like, she quoted, like I said again, she quoted Kanye. Funniest line was her being like, "Yeah, I am a whore. My dad was right." I'm like, okay, this girl's got daddy issues. So I'm like, this dude. But the funniest thing that I thought about when he sent me this, knowing how some like vengeful girls are, I'm like, what if she straight up has Rona and she licked it? She's like, I didn't want to tell you through text. I wanted to get your reaction on FaceTime. I'm like, girls are crazy, bro. I'm like, I can't imagine this girl's like, I'm gonna get him back. Just lick that shit, stamp it, put it on his windshield, like, enjoy the Rona, fool.
My boy. Nah, dude, no.
You wash your hands after, right?
Yeah, definitely had to wash my hands.
Bro,
It's
I don't even open that shit. I'm sketched out at this point. My anxiety is so bad over this shit that like I open mail and I'm like washing my hands like crazy, dude. To the point where you can't see it because it's obviously the audio's messed up. I'm like, my hands are like jacked up, dude. To the point where like my skin is breaking a little bit. That's how much I'm like excessively just in the bathroom washing it for any contact, man.
I get that, but on my dick because I'm chafing.
Jesus Christ, you're just sitting in quarantine for too long.
Bro, you see the calluses on my right palm.
I mean, call up Notebook Girl.
Dude, you see those calluses? That's not from working out, my boy. That's not from working out.
Bro, call the girl, man. She's obviously the best line did was like, I'm tired of waiting. I'm gonna give myself to the world. I'm like, honey, the world is ending. Like, we got Rona over. What are you gonna give yourself to? There's nothing. We're all quarantined inside. But that's something that would happen to you. That's what made me laugh the most. It's like, this dude, this would happen to him. That some girl shows up and puts a letter on his car, and the thing is that her licking it would also happen to you too. Because it's pissing them off, dude.
You know, like, I have a tendency for like finding like the worst woman ever and trying to make them my main thing. You know what I mean? That's my toxic trait.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to save them, you know, and you end up getting a note like that where every single one of them, they always come to a realization at some point where they're like, I need to like express myself and get closure. But then it's like, I
just don't know, like, to this point, like, I still don't know what she gained from doing that. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess.
She wrote the whole thing. She drove like 30 minutes there and back, right? So that's like an hour back and forth. Yeah.
Okay.
And then like just like you could have just like left me a voicemail or like a quick text or just not done anything. You know what I mean? Just leave me on red or whatever. But I don't know what she gained from that. I really don't. She makes herself look like a clown.
The fact that she like literally went out of her way to literally type that out, first of all.
And
print it, wasting environmental
precious resources
that we need right now, and ink, and then got in her car when we're supposed to be on lockdown and risk her life for 30 minutes just to send you this message where she could have emailed this. She could have sent a pigeon, dude, with it wrapped around it or some shit. She could have done a plethora of things to get this message across. Shit, if she was smart, she would have made a YouTube video exposing you almost, and I would have understood that more than her straight up being like, I'm gonna get a piece of paper, type it out, print it, fold it like a child, because you showed me how it looked folded. It looked terrible. He folded, and then put it on his windshield card, and then be like, peace. And then you showed me the text you sent, and I was dying because you're like, I didn't even read it. Like, give me that.
Dude, like if when something's too long, I just don't even like just read it anymore. If it's like a text, a tweet, an Instagram like tag post, nothing. Like, who wants to read like an essay when they're not in school? Nobody.
You know what? I'm a Drake stan, and you know it, but that's how I was today with this post. I'm like, that's a cute kid, man, and I feel you. And the kid looks exactly like his mom. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not.
The mom's ugly, bro. She has a nasty nose.
Well, have you seen his dad? It's not like he came from like a great like tree, dude. His dad looks
like I feel like his dad looks fine, but his mom's ugly as fuck.
I mean, the kid looks like the mom though, the hair and everything.
Yeah, I saw like comparisons to Steph Curry's child. You see that?
Yeah. I mean, Drake's technically light skinned like Curry, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's actually crazy how like more light skinned Curry looks, and like his parents are both like Drake's mom's white. You know what I mean? Curry's parents aren't. You know, it's just wild how like the differences. But yeah, like I don't know. That's the whole Twitter thing about like Drake's kid. I was like, that's exactly why he didn't say a word for fucking years until Pusha snitched on him or Kanye snitched on him. But then, like, that's why, to avoid all that shit. Bro, they call him Napoleon Dynamite. I'm like, I hate Twitter.
I saw that.
I hate Twitter so much, dude. I get Napoleon Dynamite. He's free. It's messed up, man. I love how we're in quarantine. The celebrities are still trying to, like, be as ratchet as they can be. You got Kanye out there defending her man over Taylor Swift. Come on, what are we doing? I know you love Kanye, but the homeboy fell off.
Let's not bring Kanye into this, bro.
I did. I'd never try to bring Kanye because I would go into a rant about Kanye. He's lucky that he's staying quiet right now because that dude. If I would have had a podcast when he was like preaching and stuff, I probably would have went crazy on the pod. Actually, I'm gonna hold off Khabib again because we're already talking about music. Party Next Door, Weekend album. Weekend dropped 3 new songs. First, let me know what you thought about the Weekend album, and then let me know what you thought about the new 3 songs that he dropped last night.
The Weekend album, After Hours, instant classic.
Yeah.
Instant classic. You know, like Starboy, let's be honest, just wasn't it. I didn't like a single song off of the album.
The Starboy was like him going so full mainstream. He went away from his roots of being like this dark, edgy, crackhead, you know, suicidal guy that he was. And then he went for like the full, I'm Michael Jackson, I could sing and dance, and I could be like Bruno Mars. And it was like, yeah, you got some jams, but like I'm not gonna continue listening to it over like Trilogy or like Echoes of Silence or Kissland or you know even the EP that he dropped. I forget what it was called. Like the 6-song album that he dropped like a few years ago.
Oh, My Dear Sweet Melancholy.
Yeah, there you go. And then this one, like you said, classic.
Yeah. I really like how like he didn't have any features. You know what I mean? Like it was just him. So like you're sometimes like features can ruin an album, but this was like I feel like if you were to add like a feature, like I feel like it would have thrown off the whole dynamic he was going for. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he kind of rebirthed himself. Honestly, I just think it's like overall well done by Abel. Like it was just an amazing album, and I will definitely listen to it from start to end. You know, 10 years from now, it's just going to be a classic from this point on.
Yeah, it definitely has its going to have its longevity. You know what I mean? Like people years from now, if we get through this, if the world doesn't completely explode, because you know, I mean, well, who knows? But if we get through this and like let's say we have our kids and hopefully that happens or whatever, like that's going to be an album that's going to be on repeat still. It almost was like a Michael Jackson album, but in the new generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people compare like Timberlake to Michael or Bruno Mars. I don't think anybody's ever like really closed in on MJ more than Abel has. Like this album, production wise, music wise, lyrical wise, is just off the charts. I ended up giving it a 9 out of 10, and then tell me you gave it a
9.5.
9.5. Okay. So then that brings me to Party Next Door's album. What'd you think about that one? Because you know me, I started listening to Joe Budden's podcast recently, and I like how Budden and them swore that P&D was gonna somehow like had a chance to beat Abel's album. I'll let you know what I thought about that, but I'll let you go first. I just thought it was funny that Budden was so like really thought that Party had a chance.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was looking forward to the album, of course, because Party Next Door, right? Like he's tied to EXO, he's tied to OVO as well. Listening to it, I was just really disappointed. I was like, we waited almost 5 years for you to give us this. You know what I mean? And I feel like mixtape P&D is like LeBron on the Heat. And then album P&D is definitely like LeBron, like rookie contract with the Cavs.
Yeah, and
Like,
feature Party is so much better than solo Party.
oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. The best thing about the album, in my opinion, was the Bad Bunny feature. Like Bad Bunny is like the new Drake. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like he's everywhere. Yeah, if you have a Bad Bunny connection or a feature, you're popping. Automatically, your song's can go on the Billboard. You're gonna have streams. You're gonna get revenue. You're gonna get whatever. So,
Yeah. So what score did you give it?
Solid 7, easily.
Okay. My review of Party Next Door is on Party Mobile. Nothing new. You know what I mean? It was a party album. It sounded like a party album. I liked the Rihanna song. I liked the last song of the album. I forgot what it's called, Savage Moments or Savage Moments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was the most toxic song I've ever heard in my life. It sounded like Future wrote that one.
Like Future?
It was so toxic, man. Him saying, and obviously it was about Kalani, and we all know what happened between him, her, and Kyrie, the love triangle that happened. With the line on that song where it's like, I know it's something smells funny in the other room. My God, that is toxic. Like him just accepting that. I like that. Again, the Drake loyal, them two together. It's Wade and Shaq almost. And I mean, the album was like, it's what I expected. Like nothing from that album blew me away. Like the Weeknd's album, I didn't know what to expect. And I thought on the Weeknd's album, for the first time, he finally connected both sides of the coin. You know, he went with the pop like flair, but then he was able to bring the dark tone into it at the same time. Party was like, okay, this is another party album. But at the end of the day, I gave it a 7, like you said. If I had to rank all the albums that we've gotten recently, I would say The Weeknd's at 9. PND 7. Bieber's Changes, I would say that's a 7. Jay Electronica, I gave it an 8. I know you weren't feeling it as much as I was. I digged it. I gave it an 8. But I gave it an 8 because of Hope. You know what I mean? That's why. It's because of Jay.
Jay Electronica made the album like a 2-pack of ass. Like he ruined the vibe. Like
it would have been just a Hope album. It would have been probably a 9.
Yeah, like, it would be an instant classic.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. Like I think the anticipation for a Jay Electronica album all these years, I think we waited too long for it. He waited too long to drop it. You know what I mean? I think the flair wasn't there, and then like there was such a long break in between that by the time we got it, we're kind of like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like he didn't even start the album off. The first person you hear on his debut album is Hov. Like that's an L. Like you got to start your debut album. I don't care who you are. The first album, and then somebody was bringing up that like Snoop Dogg's his debut album, he didn't start it off. But it was somebody else. It wasn't Dr. Dre that started off like Snoop's album. Like you have Hov starting off your album. He's gonna wash you every single time. That was like prime Hov. When Hov is in his bag, he's like one of the greatest of all time. And he just ran laps over Jay Electronica. Like Jay Electronica should just done his own thing. Should have done what The Weeknd did. No features really, and just dropped bars on everything. But I'm killing the album, and I gave it an 8. But I liked it. But I gave it an 8.
No, you like it or do you hate it?
No, I did like it. I'm just saying, I think I liked it because it was a Hope album, though. I think if you take Hope out of the album, I'd probably give it a 6, honestly. But since Hope was on there, he dropped bars, I gave it an 8. And then
now that we're on Hov, I saw on your Twitter on the timeline. I saw on the timeline, bro. I'm gonna expose you right now. So I just want you to explain yourself, and I want the audience to hear. So you basically retweeted a tweet that someone said that Drake washed Hov on pound cake. Explain yourself.
Like back in the old days, years ago, they had A&R men to take.
Because he did. He did wash Hov on that album, bro. You can't tell me he didn't.
No, he did not.
Can you hear it? Come on, dude. Come on.
I think that's
on this album.
I think that's Drake standing you.
Hold it on this song, bro. You're telling me he didn't? What? Come on, dog. You get washed if you're gonna do.
I thought it was sick.
Huh?
I love that part. I actually really like that part.
Dude, Drake. That was like they said. It was Jordan versus Kobe. when Jordan was a wizard and Kobe took him out. Kobe dropped 55 on his head. It was the same energy. Drake,
Yeah, but like 5 years later, Ho dropped another classic with whatever the album was called.
well, I mean, Jordan still drops classic with the shoes. Maybe not with the Hornets, but he's still dropping classic with the shoes.
No, you got a point there.
It's like Hove is still Hove, but like I think that was the passing of the torch between Drake and Hove. I think that was Drake cementing himself as like, I got next, you know what I mean? And then he destroyed Meek, and then he got destroyed by Pusha. But that's a different story. I'm not gonna get into that. But still, look, at least Drake, when it comes to Drake, like he's at least down to beef. You know what I mean?
Not if it's Diddy.
Yeah, but dude, you keep forgetting Diddy. Dog, dude, he's mafia, bro. Diddy, even Eminem freaking said Diddy got Pac killed. Probably got Biggie killed too. Who knows? Like, we don't know what the story is. Like, that's the one person I would not want to mess with ever. And it's not because of rap. It's because that dude's so connected. Him and Hove are just like above hip hop at this point. You know what I mean? They're like entrepreneurs at this point. It's not even close. But yeah, hell yeah, Drake washed Hove on that album, dude. And that may be Drake's best album. I was thinking about that the other day. What is his best album? And I keep like juggling it on my head because it's So Far Gone is definitely there. Nothing Was the Same, which was that Pound Cake was on there. Take Care, which for me, Take Care always keeps dropping. And Views.
So we're not gonna count the one with Future.
The mixtape?
Yeah.
No, we're talking about solo.
Just solo.
Yeah.
I saw. I want to say Take Care, but just because like Abel wrote basically admit like he wrote like half of it. I kind of don't want to say Take Care, so I'm probably gonna have to go with So Far Gone. Just.
Yeah, I think So Far Gone is one of the greatest mixtapes of all time. And then to top it off, if you're reading this, It's Too Late. That might be his most underrated project. Even though everybody brings up Quincy Miller whenever that project's brought up, and Meek pretty much ruined that kid's career. Anyways, yeah. So P&D, you gave it a 7. I gave it a 7. Oh, and one more thing before we get to the ratings, Gambino's album. That was a 2-pack ass. I don't care what. Look, I love Gambino. He is the most talented guy in the world, and I mean, this guy is super talented because he's a writer, director, actor, singer, dancer. Nobody has done what Gambino has been able to do other than Jamie Foxx, where they're just a plethora of things that he could do and do them really well. This last album that he dropped like 2 weeks ago, horse shit, dude. Like, I hated it, bro. Like, I get that he could, but he's in the position where he could do any sound he wants. You know what I mean? He's done everything. He could drop whatever at this point. That's the power of his character at this point. I hated it. I gave it a 4. I gave it a solid, trashy 2-pack of ass 4. Because I do not want to hear that album ever again.
Yeah, I only liked like one song. I think it was the last one too.
Yeah, but you're right. The song already released, the summer one?
I don't know, has it?
Let me go check out. You keep telling your review. Let me go check out the track list for that album.
Yeah. But yeah, like I just thought it was like just terrible. And like you were saying, like he's so talented at different things. I think at this point, like with this album kind of showed like he should probably just like let music go, like experimenting, new sounds. Like it was cool back in 2010s to experiment with different sounds, but I feel like now like that wave has kind of just like passed.
Yeah.
He should focus on everything else that he's really, really good at. You know what I mean? Like
I did like Algorithm though. I thought Algorithm was the best track on the album. That
one was good.
That was a good feature of an old song and then using a new sound to like, kind of enhance the song itself. The rest of the album, it just sounded like a bunch of like jingling noises. It sounded like it was like an A24 movie and shit. I thought I was watching Midsommar and shit, which was the worst movie ever. Anyways, let's get past the whole music take. Gambino, I mean, that's not a shot at Gambino whatsoever. I wasn't a fan of the album. I know certain people were. It wasn't my taste. I think he could do a little bit better. Khabib. We've been waiting for this fight. Khabib, Tony Ferguson, 5th time this fight is canceled. The 5th time, dude. 3 times it was because of injuries between Khabib and Ferguson. The both of them were both injured. And then the 4th time, Khabib missed weight, which I don't know why nobody talks about that when they bring up Khabib. Like, you cannot be one of the greatest of all time and miss the weight for a fight. You know what I mean? Because that to me looks like you're ducking. So anyways, that fight was canceled. Ferguson got injured again. Now, fucking, it looked like we were finally going to get it this time. RONAMANIA took over, and then here's the weird shit that goes on. So the card was going to happen. Empty arena, which I thought was kind of sketch, though, because, like, you can't have, like, 10 people in a building?
More than 10 people, right?
Yeah. Okay, so these fighters come out with, like, 6 guys on their camp. That's like 12 people around the octagon, plus the announcers, plus the commentator, plus the cameraman, plus the 3 judges. Like, I never understood how they were going to get that to happen. But, I mean, to each their own. Dana said it was going to happen, then whatever. So, supposedly, according to Khabib, he said that Dana told him that for whatever reason, the fight was going to take place in Russia, which I call bullshit. Because why in the hell would Dana, knowing also Dana White is best friends with Donald Trump, why would he know, knowing that there's a travel ban, why would he randomly be like, hey, we're moving the fight to Russia? You know what I mean? Number 2, Khabib and his camp are all here in the United States. His training staff, his coaches, everybody is here in the States. You're telling me a homeboy got in a plane, went to Russia the day before Russia was locked down, and then today's like, oh, I can't leave. I'm sorry, guys, I can't make it. I'm locked down. You're telling me he can't get a private jet, test the pilot to see if they have coronavirus, test himself, and call Putin? Because Khabib's like a national hero over there in Russia.
This motherfucker was like wrestling bears at 5.
Yeah, so you're telling me this dude can't get clearance to get in a private jet back to the States to fight Tony Ferguson? I think it's a load of shit. I think this dude is ducking Tony Ferguson. I think he wants to have more time. I think he saw the writing on the wall, and Tony got in his head. Because Khabib, one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, I'm not going to take that from him. He washed Conor McGregor. I'm not taking that away from him. He kicked Conor's ass. But I think he's scared of Tony Ferguson, like legitimately scared, because it's not like there isn't history. You missed the weight the last time, dude. Now you're trying to make us believe that you flew to Russia and you can't leave all of a sudden. Why would you fly to Russia when there's 3 weeks left to a fight? It's fraudulent. I think Khabib is so fraudulent. I think that dude is such a fake tough guy who gets triggered and thinks everybody should bow down to him and respect him. He thinks he's the greatest of all time. He's not. It's still John Bones Jones, and that dude needs some help as well.
Are we talking about Khabib or Drake? Sounds like you're describing Drake.
Fuck out of here. I'm talking about Khabib. Khabib is fraudulent, man. I think that dude is ducking Tony Ferguson. I think Tony Ferguson was going to whip that dude's ass and take that title. That was a low blow. I'm not talking about Drake, man. If anything, I'm talking about Kanye, Mr. Oh, Drake's trying to kill us, man. He's outside. He's down the street on Calabasas, tweeting it out. Making to say like Drake was some serial killer all of a sudden.
Well, I mean,
like, come on, like you're seeing what I'm talking about, right?
I stand with Kanye. But yeah, your dog made an appearance.
Yeah.
But I just want the fight to happen. Honestly, like.
And it could have happened.
We need something. You know what I mean? I don't want to watch fucking golf. Like.
And he's ducking, bro. Like, I don't care what he is so ducking Tony Ferguson. Because Tony Ferguson, that dude is a bad dude, man. Like, if there's anybody that was going to beat Khabib, because, like, Conor, if you take Conor to the ground, I knew that, like, Khabib had that fight won. Like, Conor would have had to have knocked out Khabib to win that fight.
Right.
You can't take Tony to the ground. Like, Tony is, like, an elite wrestler. Like, that dude, he's better on his back. Like, most.
Like Kurt Angle.
Yeah, he's better on his back. I was going to make a bad joke, but never mind. He's better on his back than most other MMA fighters are. I really do. Like, dude, like, you're telling me 32 weeks before the fight that this dude flew. I don't buy it. I think it's bullshit. I think it's jacked up that I don't think we're ever going to get it. I don't think we'll ever see that fight. I have a big fear, dude, that Tony somehow loses the fight he's going to be in.
Interesting.
Because now he like, his whole game plan is gone. You know what I mean?
Because he's been preparing for Khabib.
For Khabib, yeah, and I know his one of his trainers, Eddie Bravo, who's on the Joe Rogan podcast, like, this dude has been scouting freaking like Khabib for like months, and now that he has to fight some other dude randomly, there's a legit chance that Tony loses that fight, and we just never get that fight. Like, they're like 6 times the charm. I was like, there's no way, man. I know you're not into wrestling all that much, but I know you had a take on this because you brought it to my attention on Twitter or whenever on text or text messages about WrestleMania. You're like how messed up. Please explain, because it's interesting from you because you're in the outside looking in. You know what I mean? Because you're like an unbiased perspective. So please let me know what you think about how WWE is pretty much forcing their guys to like wrestle under, you know, these straining circumstances that we're in right now.
Right. So the way I get like all my information, like you said, I don't really keep up with WWE or like really any wrestling. So the way I get like my information is basically from you. So I usually just go on your Twitter, and it's like a mixture of wrestling and just like other sports stuff. But I saw you retweeted something about Mick Mahone, and then the coronavirus, and then making their players, or not their players, sorry, the wrestlers, fight through it, which I think is like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, like it's body to body contact. You know what I mean? And it's like nobody wants to do that, especially with this pandemic. A lot of these people have like families. Like he's the one that's going to be benefiting because he's the one that's going to be getting like all the money. Everybody's going to watch it. I would watch it because it's some sort of entertainment. You know what I mean? Even if I don't like keep up with it.
Yeah.
So,
no, you're absolutely right.
I don't know. I just think it's fucked up.
Yeah. What's worse is that they could have postponed it till June. Like that was on the table. Like they told Vince, you could have it in June in New York at Madison Square Garden. And instead of just doing the most common sense thing to do, which is have it in June in Madison Square Garden, it's like, no, show must go on. We got to have it in an empty gym, pretty much. Even though, like you said, you can't have more than 10 people around. Takes more than 10 people to run a wrestling show. Now that I've worked for like a wrestling company, I know that for a fact. That's literally what took out GCF, because we were going to do the same thing. We were going to have an empty like gym show.
Wait, GCF defunct already?
No, GCF, we're still kicking, but like we can't have the show. We had the show planned for April.
The podcast.
No, we can't have the podcast or a wrestling show.
What the fuck are you guys doing then? Nothing?
Nothing. We're pretty much stuck, just like waiting for this whole thing to clear up. Like, but our plan was, because our show was going to be April 11th, the day before Easter, and our plan was to have the show with just the wrestlers, no fans, and we film it and then we sell it. You know what I mean? The problem is, then they said you can't have more than 10 people. And like I just said, like you can't have a wrestling show with just less than 10 people. So the fact that WWE is like, oh, we're still going to do it anyways. I'm like, dude, you got a guy in Roman Reigns who just beat leukemia. You know what I mean? And from what I heard, because they already taped WrestleMania, by the way. It's already been taped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they filmed it last Wednesday. And what I heard is that one of the wrestlers showed up sick. And that pissed off some other wrestlers, and they told Roman Reigns, who then called WWE and said, yeah, peace out. Ain't doing it. I'm good. Not going to risk it. Just beat leukemia. Why am I going to do this for? For a match without fans? You know what I mean? And a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, the show must go on. And yeah, I get that. Like, I understand the whole concept of, like, the show must go on. There's nothing else for us to watch. Literally last night, dude, I watched the Lakers play the Clippers from the year 2000 when Shaq dropped 61 and 25 rebounds.
My God.
There's nothing else to do, you know what I mean? And I've been watching, like, old WrestleManias because WWE Network's free right now. So I understand the aspect from Vince being like, oh, this is our opportunity to, like, soak everybody in. But at the cost of risking your actual talent, multiple people have stepped out already. Asuka, Buddy Murphy, smartly have stepped out. Because if I'm one of those wrestlers, I'd be like, why am I doing this for? For what exactly? There's no audience, again. Like, I'm risking my life and everybody else's life. And they hired, like, random cameramen, you know, the production team, audio, commentary. There's, like, at least, like, 8 people in the locker room watching all together. It's a dumb decision. But, yeah, I think WrestleMania, or how they're calling it, RONAMANIA, it should have been canceled. It should have been postponed. Like, definitely. It's just a stupid decision. But we'll see. It airs Sunday. So we'll see how that goes down. So now we're nearing the end of this episode. Obviously, I'm going to try to do more on these. I think Wednesday we might do Matt's and Mark's podcast like this. I don't know, though. I have to talk to everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize it's hard to, like, message everybody while this is going on because a lot of people are just going MIA, and I'm just like, fucking. Because my whole thing with GCF, I'm like, I know we're not doing anything, but right now is like the best time to like give out shit. You know what I mean?
Content.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. But they're just like, oh, okay, let's do this, and then like the day passes and I don't hear shit, and I'm like, are we doing it or what the hell are we doing? But we'll see. I think we're gonna try. I think I'm gonna be with Quincy on Wednesday and see if RJ and Saint show up. All right. So every episode I end it with a question, brother. So you're gonna be part of this one, all right? And the question is, what's your favorite album of the decade?
You go first.
Okay. Man.
Yeah, you have the question, so you had a chance to think about it. Like I had to think about it.
I already failed. This is Kennedy 2.0. I could have cheated and I still failed the test.
Oh my god, you didn't think about it first?
You know, it's 2010 to 2020. It's probably Views.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because I'm going between like 3 albums. I'm going between Life of Pablo, Views, and Nothing Was the Same. So I keep bouncing between. I'm gonna go with Views, only because Views was like when that dropped, I was like in a really good spot in my life. So like that album mixed in with what I was doing at that time, which is like that was like around the year where I was like really going out and stuff, like hanging out and like more interactions in my life. Views was like the banger album was on repeat that whole summer. So I would say Views is probably for me the album of the decade. And before anybody calls me a Drake stan, it's obvious I'm a Drake stan, bro. Like that I've said that since day one. I'm always on the side with Drizzy. Been rocking with that dude since he got shot in the back at freaking Degrassi.
Since you listed 3, I'll list 3 as well. So I'm gonna go with. I'm just gonna list 3 albums, and then I'll give you like my number 1 choice. So Good Kid, Mad City, by Kendrick Lamar, of course. I would say Blonde, Frank Ocean, and then a third one will probably be Nothing Was This. No, Nothing Was the Same. If You're Reading This, It's Too Late with Drake and Future. Like every like song on the album is a banger, like absolute banger. But I'm gonna have to go with Good Kid, Mad City. You know, because just because like. Classic, you know what I mean? It's just good. I think it's a smidgen better than If You're Reading This, It's Too Late.
I'm shocked you didn't go with Life of Pablo.
Yeah, it's a good album. It's like a top 6 for me. You know, top 6.
I love Life of Pablo so much, but like I'm never gonna forgive him for canceling his show when I had tickets to go for the Life.
You even bought the shirt.
Yeah, I went as far to buy a jacket, dude.
Oh yeah, you got a jacket too.
And he canceled it the day before. It was supposed to be at the Honda Center. So ever since then, I've been on the F Kanye train. I've been with Budden on that one. Dude's a fraud as well. Him and Khabib are frauds. I don't care what anybody. Those dudes are frauds. But Life of Pablo, I love that album. I have to ask you this because I know you're a fan of Chance the Rapper, right? Why do you think so many people hate Chance all of a sudden?
You know, just to give some context, you know, I took the host of the podcast to his first concert. It was a Chance the Rapper concert in San Diego. No, not your first concert.
It was Schoolboy.
Okay, sorry.
Schoolboy, and then we went to Chance.
Okay, correction. So to one of his first concerts, in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
It was for Coloring Book, which was an amazing album. Let's just say I'm a big fan. But I think the reason why a lot of people hate him is just because like he's that one rapper that's like not talking about like fucking all these like, you know, women, stop talking about drugs. He's talking about like the unpopular thing, kind of like gospel, kind of like church vibes. And that's not what people want to hear in this decade, especially with like how Twitter is, how savage is. Like one popularly meme goes off, and it's a ripple effect. That's how everybody spins their narrative about one person. Like there's one cancel culture, and Twitter will be fucking ruthless.
Yeah,
you know it from first experience.
Yeah,
one person has an opinion, and then everyone else has that same opinion.
Yeah, because the first before Twitter, the first real artist to be canceled was Nickelback, and I never got that one. You know what I mean?
Dude, Nickelback's trash though.
No, but they have bro. They have 4 good songs. But no, I'm talking about the universal hate for Nickelback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're not great. They have like 3 songs, but I'm like, I wonder when we came to us together like a community and we're like, Nickelback is like the worst thing ever, because they're not. You know what I mean? They're trash, but they're not the worst thing ever. There's
Right.
of worse things than Nickelback. So like that just happened. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, you have to think Nickelback's trash. And then like all of a sudden, like during the All-Star game, NBA All-Star game, it was like, oh, Chance is trash. Like, wait, what happened? Like, there was a moment when his first album dropped and everybody was wearing the 3 hats and they were like vibing with him. And when we went to the concert, Madhouse, Schoolboy Q, I almost died. If I didn't grab onto that Asian kid's back, I would have probably Aiden's been stomped on, like Scar from Lion King. That was sketchy. The first concert was sketchy, dude. It was dope, but like I felt like I either almost dehydrated or like almost got stomped out. But either ways, like people love Chance, especially after Life of Pablo. Like after that, everybody was a Chance fan, and then like for whatever reason, something happened in between where everybody was like, "Nah, forget him." I blame Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma would have never made that video. He would look. Kuzma ruined Chance. He ruined Lonzo. He ruined Vanessa Hutchins. Everybody that's in contact with Kyle Kuzma ends up fading away. There's a Kyle Kuzma like curse. And I guarantee you that's going to be more, that needs to be explored more down the road. Because literally everything he touches goes to shit. And I feel ever since he posted that, like, that terrible, like, selfie video of him, like, vibing out to, like, a Chance song, it's been, like, downhill for Chance ever since then. Because, like, dude, I was shocked at the All-Star game when, like, he was performing at halftime. And I go on Twitter, and the whole time I was like, this dude fucking sucks. Like, screw this dude. Like, get him up. I'm like, when the hell did this happen? It feels like the only person in hip-hop or in any artist that's ever been able to get so much hate and survive from it is Drake and Eminem.
Not Kanye?
I don't know, because Kanye reacts to it, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Without reacting, you mean?
Yeah, you know, like Drake and like Eminem get dragged, and they get dragged big time by everybody. But they keep doing their thing, and they release the same stuff over and over again. Kanye, you drag him, and then it turns into a whole political thing, and you have to hear about it for like 6 months on his Twitter because he's going to promote his new Yeezys or his new album or his new gospel choir, whatever the hell he's doing nowadays. But I feel like those are the only two that are like been able to take the hits. And Taylor Swift, I'll give Taylor credit. Like, she's gotten so much hate throughout the years, but she's still dropping like albums that chart all the way to the top. Like, Taylor Swift doesn't get enough credit that she deserves. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like her music at all. Nor will I ever listen to her music. But like, she's gotten so much hate, dude, since we were in high school. And she's still dropping like gems because they're still getting so much ridiculous numbers. I would say K-pop Twitter too, but those dudes are savages, man.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck, dude.
Those are Thanos, man. They're the Thanos of Twitter. I love K-pop. I love it so much.
Remember that NBA Twitter versus K-pop Twitter like war that lasted for like two or 3 days?
Yeah, that was World War III, dog. It was so bad on the timeline.
That was hilarious.
But what the fuck was? I think that like the last podcast I said Backstreet Boys were better than K-pop, and like I quickly was like, no, never mind. I'm just kidding, because I was like, hell no, dog. They find this, the channel's gone. They'll drag me. All right, my boy. So I don't even know how long this shit is, but I'm assuming it's pretty long. This has been episode number 11 of Hollywood Uncensored. I'm pretty sure you got nothing to do for the next coming days. So
right. Yeah.
You're probably going to be back. I do this every Monday, or I'll let you know. So RNG will be
Wednesday, because in case you guys don't do the GCF thing.
Yeah, if we don't do GCF, I'll hit you up Wednesday and we'll do another one. So yeah, RNG is going to be probably a long-time member for Hollywood Uncensored Podcast. We were already doing podcasting. Like I said from day one when I started this podcast, the original idea for me and you was to start a podcast on the channel. When we were going to do clickbait entertainment, and then it just never materialized. But now that this thing is going, because now we got nothing to do, so now we kind of have to do this shit. I'm going to try to hit up some guests now that I know how to do this, because I can add callers now to this.
Did you hit up that one, Andre?
That dude's working at Target. He's busy. He's trying to spread the virus, bro.
He for sure got the Rona, bro.
Going down a dark rabbit hole, bro. I'm gonna pull you out before we get canceled. Maybe I'll hit him up. We'll see if I can get them. I'm gonna start hitting up some people and see if we can get them on the podcast, and we'll interview them. Maybe even some wrestlers, and then I'll get RNG like into wrestling and see, at least that he can know some stuff. Doesn't take all that much. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 11. I don't know if you're watching this on Monday night, then be happy because usually it takes a minute to go up. So you guys will probably be watching this on Tuesday morning. But yeah, this has been episode number 11 of Hollywood Uncensored. It's your boy, Hollywood Hogan. Are you still there?
Yeah. Am I supposed to say my name?
Yeah. You're supposed to be like
I didn't know what you were doing. My bad.
Let me do it again. Hold on. Let me do it again. I'm going to edit that part out.
Okay. Yeah. I was just confused.
Stop. It's your boy, Hollywood Hogan.
And Orange E.
Do you really want to go by Orange E or not?
Yeah.
Are you sure, bro? You can just go by I was thinking, dog, because I was thinking about if you had a podcast, like a solo podcast, you could just call it Ed, and Eddie.
That'd be kind of cool, not gonna lie.
Right? That would be pretty dope. If you had if you did your own thing, which you should think about it because there ain't nothing else to do. Anyways, boys, we will see you guys later on. This has been episode number 11, Hollywood Uncensored. Comment down below, slap that subscribe and join the Hollywood quick. Links are all down below in the description. I don't know why I say that. I never put links in the description, but it's force of habit at this point. So links are in the description. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about P&D's album. Let me know what you thought about Khabib, Duck, and Tony. If you don't agree with us, let me know down below. Give me your top 5 worst MCU movies, your favorite MCU movies. Again, his thoughts about Captain Marvel or his thoughts and his thoughts.
Brie Larson is ass.
Jesus Christ, dude. You don't. Brie Larson stands are as bad as K-pop Twitter. I'm letting you know now.
Fuck Brie Larson.
You need to make it like an official Twitter that you can actually follow you on because I want them to drag you on Twitter. Not me. I don't care. Brie Larson. It's kind of fine. She is. She's kind of a dime piece.
You can get it.
She's kind of a dime piece. Somebody's going to watch this and yell at me later on. I can bet you that one. Boys, I will see you guys later on. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Too sweet.